Is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, 7 p.m. I will call the city council meeting to order. Clerk Everett, will you please call the roll?
Councilman Huckabee.
Here.
Councilman Lesko Hair.
Here.
Councilman Schultz.
Here.
President Jekyll.
Here.
Councilman Johnson is excused absence unless he hopped on the Zoom, which I don't see him.
All right, thank you. Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Invite everybody to stand if you're able to.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item 4, consent agenda. The consent agenda is outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on any request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed, items 4A through 4G.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, public hearings. Tonight we have none. Item 6, public comments for matters on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon: name, address, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comment unless item is on the agenda elsewhere. Note for those following on Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand as the chat box is not monitored, and those on Zoom must remain muted unless recognized to speak. Tonight we don't have anyone signed up in person for this first public comment session, so I'll be a first call on Zoom. I believe I see one raising a hand there. Caroline?
Hi, I'm Caroline Verbaten. I'm at Godfrey and Kahn. I'm here on behalf of Fort Land Company. I believe Kurt Kellogg, a representative from the applicant for agenda number 8A, is also here as well. Just wanted to comment on some of the items that were discussed during the Plan Commission. The first being the down zoning without any notice. The zoning administrator stated that artisan production shop fit the type of manufacturing.
Caroline, I'm going to have to ask you to stop. Being our ordinance requires you to be a city resident for this public hearing or public comment portion. During the agenda item, I may ask for input from you if there is needed. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the applicant's not able to speak on behalf of their item agenda?
The actual resident has to be here or on Zoom.
Understood.
Thank you. Sorry. Anyone else on public or on Zoom? Sorry. All right. Seeing none, I will move on. Item 7, petitions, requests, and communications. We have none. Item 8, resolutions and ordinances. 8A is the first reading of an ordinance relating to a zoning map amendment to change the zoning district for the property located at 525 Jefferson Street from urban mixed use UMU to medium industrial MI to accommodate the future sale of the property. Bill Director Trigger.
Yes. So as you said, this is a proposed zoning map amendment. There is a current 1.82 acre site at 525 Jefferson Street. Right now, it's currently vacant. It was former home to Uncle Josh Bates, Acme Bait, Hard Soft Bait. It's a 34,000 square foot building on a existing site. This request is not accompanied by any redevelopment proposal. So it's only seeking for the zoning change at this time, stating that it does make any allowable use under medium industrial permitted use and could operate as such without additional approval unless that is a conditional use land use that they would be proposing. The proposed amendment is not consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. The future land use map designates this area as planned mixed use, which envisions a blend of commercial and mixed use residential, community, recreational uses, but not industrial. I think you'll find also in the packet that there was a zoning confirmation letter that was provided to the purchaser in 2013, showing that the property was C2, which is a commercial zoning. It was also designated that the or the use in place at that time was permitted. During the rezoning of 2020, it was zoned to urban mixed use, which is seen as a like for like zoning, not a down zoning as is described or mentioned in the proposal, which when Caroline started to mention earlier, it does have an artisan production, which C2 also had a small scale production land use that was permitted in that. And I would make a determination that that would be similar for Uncle Josh Bates or something along those lines with a small production facility that doesn't have large equipment going there. So I just wanted to make that point. When we're comparing the urban mixed use and medium industrial zoning, medium industrial district does allow for a range of heavier industrial uses, which the urban mixed use does not, which is pretty much the reason for that buffer area of planned mixed use between the residential uses to the south and the current industrial uses to the north, creating a little bit of a buffer zone for those heavier, louder noise, higher activity areas. Staff's review against the required zoning amendment criteria also includes that the proposal somewhat advances the general purposes of the zoning ordinance, but it, once again, is not in harmony with the comprehensive plan. It somewhat maintains the consistency of the surrounding land areas, being that the somewhat meaning we don't really know what would be there underneath that medium industrial land use. And then there are no significant changing conditions to justify altering the zoning map. In summary, while the request could provide more flexibility for industrial operations, it conflicts with the adopted comprehensive plan and creates potential compatibility issues with the nearby residential uses and undermines the long-term land use vision for this corridor. A public meeting was held on September 23rd by the Plan Commission, where Caroline, the representative for the applicant, disagreed with the recommendation for denial. But the Plan Commission voted to recommend the City Council deny the request. Staff also recommends the denial. And I'd welcome any questions.
Is there a formal definition of down zoning, or is that I haven't heard that term before. So is it a legal term? Is it a?
It'd be reducing the allowable uses for
So-
a particular site. Yeah.
And it is staff's interpretation that this is not a down zoning, that when we went through and redid our zoning code.
Yep.
You are confident that this is a match. What did you say? It was a like for like zoning.
C2 to the urban mixed use are almost identical. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Neither of them have an industrial use permitted for. So C2 does not have any industrial, the former C2, I should say.
And then it was noted that the applicant didn't have something lined up for a true reason other than to help initiate a sale of this property.
To my knowledge, yes, or no. So like I said, that would permit any of the permitted uses for medium industrial to be located at that site.
Further questions for the director? None, I would entertain any motion or. Caroline, do you have any extra input you would like to put in on this? I'll give you a couple minutes to, sorry I cut you off earlier, but our ordinance just requires that.
Understood. Thank you so much. I just wanted to point out that artisan production shop is a defined term within the current zoning code, which states it's a building or portion of a building used by 10 or fewer artists or artisans for the creation, preparation, display, sale of unique rather than mass-produced individually crafted items, including artwork, jewelry, custom furniture, woodwork, sculpture, glass, metal, pottery, leather craft, handwoven articles, and related items. We just wanted to state that the production that's happening at the property does not fall within this explicit definition. In fact, there are machinery here. There's production lines, including metal lines, stamping lines, and cutting lines that are used in connection with the manufacturing of the tackle. And up to 49 shop workers actually are working. So the zoning designation that the city says we now fit in, we actually do not. So that is why we wanted to discuss the downzoning without any notice. And then for the reason, our application states that the reason we're requesting this is because of a 2012 WDNR letter, which states that the property should be used for industrial reasons. So this is for the health and the safety of the community to make sure that we are in line with that final closure letter from 2012. And
You
that
should
was
state that-
included in our application as well. And just one more point, we believe that this is in line with the comprehensive plan. If you look at 700 Oak Street, which is directly northwest of the property, that is an industrial property that is immediately adjacent to single-family residences. We understand that under the rezoning in 2020, this was switched to a urban mixed use. However, if it was approved to be industrial, it would be no different than something the Common Council has already approved with the current zoning map.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You had
Thank you.
something to add?
Yes, so with that C2 designation, with the small production, my statement was that those two would be considered the same artisan production and what was currently allowed or previously allowed under that C2. As far as their actual production or what they were actually doing at that time, I cannot state whether or not that they had that many employees or not. But the C2 designation and the urban mixed use designation for artisan production and that small scale production are similar in my opinion. Also, the DNR letter that they received does give a timeline for remediation, similar to the Lorman site to the north.
Has it ever been practice of the city to rezone something to help facilitate the sale of a private owner? Of the property of someone who owns that property?
Directly, no, but I can think of a situation where it did assist in the sale, but the current owner of the time came to us with an application for a rezone.
And it was
Whether-
also in concert with the comprehensive plan.
Correct. That's where I was going with that. That particular one that I'm thinking of was in concert with the comprehensive plan and it did downzone the property to urban mixed use from a heavier or from an industrial site where it was that plan mixed use. So it was in concert. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Do we know how long the operations have been non-existent there? How long has it been sitting vacant?
It's gotta be close to a year or more. I don't know exactly the date, but it's been over a year since I've seen the inside of their new facility over by Industrial side. It's not on Industrial, but it's around the corner from there.
I just want to make sure that you were not aware of any current redevelopment proposal there.
No. I've had inquiries about particular uses, but nothing proposed as an actual use there.
Can you just give, I know you kind of brushed it a little bit more, but like the medium industrial, what kind of like operations more so could be?
Yeah, so in your packet, I put a graph in there, or excuse me, a table. with some of those allowable uses. It's summarized, so it's not everything in full detail. Excuse me, yeah, that's right. So medium industrial will be indoor manufacturing with some outdoor storage permitted. That medium industrial also does allow for personal storage facilities. So you could build outdoor storage or personal storage garages there on that site. Vehicle sales and services is allowed in urban mixed use and in the medium industrial, but it would be a conditional use. So there would be conditions that Plan Commission and City Council could put on that use, restricting some of the noise and negative effects that it could have on it. So there are similar uses between those two, but also there are distinct differences between the medium industrial and urban mixed use.
Okay. I just know that's one thing that always kind of throws me. It's what can or can't be in certain areas, so.
Yeah, what's tough with some of those designations is they are open to interpretation. So, coming down to that zoning letter in 2013 saying that it was allowable use, sometimes it's hard to really place those in a different, classification as well. And that to the person writing that letter at that time probably seemed like the most appropriate spot for it.
Okay.
Or at least most appropriate for saying that it was an allowable use, yeah.
Staff analysis was based, I'm assuming in part, on those 4 questions that you provided answers to, and one of them was no, and 3 of them are somewhat. Is there kind of,
To
Is
be
there-
fair, sorry, to be fair, saying somewhat there are aspects that could be helpful, but overall, the staff's determination of those questions, it is not beneficial, and is not in concert with the comprehensive plan.
yeah, if any one of those 4 questions had been a yes, does it start to balance out anything, or is it one of those kind of like you need to hit these 4, or at least 3 of the 4?
Those
or?
are the primary. Yeah, I don't think we really have a formula on exactly how many of each type of answer. I think that one of them is a definite no is a major thing to look at in this situation.
So is an option moving forward, if this were to be denied, to seek a conditional use request when there is an actual redevelopment proposal on? The
If
table?
it's a permitted or a conditional use permitted use under the urban mixed use zoning, that's what they could seek at this time.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
I move to deny the request for a zoning map amendment to change the zoning district for the property located at 525 Jefferson Street from urban mixed use to medium industrial, based on its incompatibility with the comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
8B, review and possible action relating to a resolution declaring an emergency and authorizing the Milwaukee Avenue West Storm Sewer Repair without competitive building. Director Naven.
Good evening. So as was stated, a failure of the storm sewer in Milwaukee Avenue West has been identified and is in need of repair prior to winter, as another winter and spring freeze thaw cycle could prove to be detrimental to the structure. And as seen in the attached photos, portion of the structure have started to fail and need to be addressed immediately. The failing structure on Milwaukee Ave drains directly to the Rock River, and if it were to completely fail, it could impact public safety, health, or welfare through potential flooding of streets and properties. The structure and the outfall into the river for stormwater. So in the map, you will see everything that flows towards that inlet into the river that comes from the city. Those are the direct inlets, and then at certain pieces through those streets that accept the water towards that inlet. So there's more than just what's highlighted that's going to it. Those are just the actual inlets that are then flowing towards the river. And then the yellow star shows the location of the outfall into the river and the pipes as I discussed there. And just to follow up there let me back up into the immediate emergency repair. State statute 62.151B cites that cities can bypass competitive bidding requirements during public emergencies when a resolution by the Board of Public Works or Utility Commissioners determines that the public health or welfare is endangered by damage to public facilities. And because we do not have a current Board of Public Works or Utilities Commissioner, this is the appropriate place to do that. So the financial analysis for this piece, the funding from the repairs would come from the stormwater utility fund. And please note that there's another action item on the agenda that will review the cost and project and funding source more thoroughly. So staff recommends the approval of the resolution for an emergency repair of the storm sewer on Milwaukee Avenue West to ensure repairs are completed in a timely manner before the further structure failure takes place. Note that there is another action item on this agenda that will provide the additional project details and cost proposals.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the Milwaukee Avenue West emergency storm sewer repair without competitive bidding.
Second.
We have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion?
My questions will probably be answered in the second part, so.
I find it interesting that we're still doing this. I mean, I had conversation with Rebecca earlier this week, but we still did seek competitive bidding out of this deal, so.
Yeah, and it really comes down to following the statutes for how long you have to put
the
it
bid out for.
put the bid out for.
Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of helps
And
move that time.
publishing, I think, is one of those things. So we published it on our website. We published it through our regular source or regular, I'm sorry, there's a
West.
West, yeah. But what we didn't do was put it in the newspaper with
Okay.
the,
And we can tighten up
15-day or
We
30
can tighten
day.
the timelines on it all.
Yeah.
Anything else from anyone? Seeing none, motion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9, reports of officers, boards, and committees. 9A is city manager's report.
Thank you. In September, Clerk Ebert, Director Navin, and I attended the League of Wisconsin Municipalities annual conference in Milwaukee. At that conference, I was elected to the position of second vice president of the League Board of Directors. This is a 4-year commitment, and I will serve as president of the League Board in 2028, 2029. I want to thank Clerk Ebert for her efforts in applying for and receiving a state and local cybersecurity grant for endpoint detection response for almost $6,000. This will allow the city to add another layer of security to our server and computer system. Cody Northrup was sworn in on September 23rd as the newest firefighter paramedic for the fire department. He served as a police officer for the city of Janesville and as a combat medic in the U.S. Army, and he was most recently in the Football Fire Department. So welcome to Cody. On September 30th, the Fort Atkinson Community Foundation held their Making Fort Atkinson Special Awards. This year, Debbie Coots, Carrie Johnson, and John Coots were honored for their contributions to our community through service. Thank you to all involved in this wonderful event, recognizing the doers in our community. On October 1st, I attended the base ribbon cutting for their new playground at the new base facility on Janesville Avenue. The new playground was made possible by many generous donors, including Premier Bank, which donated $100,000 to make that project move forward. When many of us woke up on October 3rd, we may have noticed low water pressure in our homes. But when Jeff Armstrong, our water utility superintendent, looked out the door of his office at 5:30 a.m., he saw Mechanic Street buckling under the pressure of 8,500 gallons of water per minute heaving the pavement. So thank you to Jeff, our water utility team, and of course our dependable contractors who had the main replaced and pressure restored within a few hours. Construction will be another matter, as you can imagine. So we'll get more information on that over the next couple weeks. On October 4th, I attended the base harvest dinner at the Ron Coots Farm in Hebron. Thank you to all who organized and attended this fundraiser for base, which continues to be an integral part of our community, providing high quality care for children when school is not in session. The museum recently opened a new exhibit on the Accomondo Nelson family in Fort Atkinson. This family immigrated to Fort Atkinson from Sicily in the early 1950s, and the exhibit came about because Mima Accomondo Nelson donated items from the family's journey to the museum. So if you get a chance, check it out. It will be open through the end of the year. The museum also recently hosted Governor Tony Evers last week. He came to greet high school students visiting the museum as part of the National 4-H Tour. During World Dairy Expo held in Madison, Governor Evers greeted students, explored the museum, and stated several times that he'll have to return to enjoy more of what our museum has to offer. The 2026 budget and 26 through 31 capital improvements plan will be presented to the City Council at a workshop tomorrow night starting at 4 p.m. The draft documents are available on the city's website for review. The public hearing for the budget will take place at the City Council meeting on November 4th. It's Fire Prevention Week, and the Fort Atkinson Fire Department wants to bring attention to the dangers of lithium-ion batteries. If not used correctly or if damaged, lithium-ion batteries can overheat, start a fire, or even explode. The fire department is hosting an open house on Saturday, October 11th, from 11 to 3. City council members and the public are encouraged to attend, and I heard there's going to be pancakes, so just saying. The Thrive ED and JCEDC will hold their annual meeting and presentation on Thursday, October 16th from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. The theme is The Future Works Here, AI and Jefferson County. The Jefferson County Solid Waste Program is holding an electronic and appliance recycling event on Saturday, October 18th. Visit the Jefferson County website or the city website for more information on that. The Friends of Homerson's Pond are hosting their annual haunted hike on October 17th and 18th. And Representative Joan Fitzgerald will be holding office hours at the Dwight Foster Public Library on October 23rd from 4 to 5. Trick or treat in the city will be held on October 26th from 1 to 4, and there will be a trunk or treat event on Friday the 31st at Jones Park. Habitat for Humanity is hosting the Rural Rally Tailgate on October 30th near the site of their building project on Schumacher Way. More information is available on that on the city's website as well. The city's water main and road work on the northeast side of the city is almost complete. The water utility will be done with hydrant flushing by the end of this week on October 10th. And our Public Works Operations Division has completed crack sealing for the year, putting down about 10,000 pounds of material to help extend the useful lives of our city streets. So thank you. That's all I have. Thank you for your patience. It's a lot to go over. There were 3 weeks since our last council meeting. So thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, unfinished business. Tonight we have none. Item 11, new business. 11A is review and possible action relating to the small animal collection contract with the Humane Society of Jefferson County for 2026. Clerk Everett.
Thank you. We've had the pleasure of cooperating and having a contract with the Humane Society of Jefferson County for small animals, considering dogs and cats, for housing, sheltering them, and then also offering adoption. The service has not changed for the past several years. We are very fortunate the partnership that we do have with the Humane Society. The rate that we are charged annually is based on our population. It's a per capita. When I first received the email, the population that was utilized was not quite our current population. I did reach out to the director, and he was very happy to adjust and give us the appropriate charge based on the population. And I did share with him the resource on the Department of Administration, which he was not aware for. So he was excited to correct that for all the municipalities. So our population estimate as of January 1st, 2025 is 12,455 times the rate of $2.78 per resident, totaling just over $34,600. They do provide a 1.5% discount if we pay in full in January, which we have for many years. So we are able to have a little bit of a savings there, equal to about $519.37, which we will take any savings we can. So I would ask that the council would to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with the Humane Society for a total of $34,105.53. We were able to get the exact amount within our budget. However, we always kind of round up a few just to keep it even dollar amount. But we do have a savings based on what we did project for 2026. Happy to answer any questions. If not, the full contract is available in your council packet.
I just had a little observation when I was looking at the dollar amount and I was like, whoa, it seemed like a lot. And for 255 cases that they dealt with, it's $146 per case. I don't think we can beat that.
No, they run very well. So we're very fortunate to have them in our community.
Yep.
We're adjacent to.
I move to authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with the Humane Society of Jefferson County for 2026 at the discounted rate of $34,105.53.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. 11B, review and possible action relating to the agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and the Fort Atkinson firefighters Local 580 for the 2026 through 2029 year. Fire Chief Peterson.
Good evening. We've discussed this contract a number of times in detail, so I'll just briefly go over some of the highlights. As you'll recall, the city, the Fort Atkinson firefighters voted to join Janesville Professional Firefighters back in 2024. And at that time, soon after we had a one-year agreement with them. We started our second agreement with the firefighters local on August 4th, and soon after created a tentative agreement. Some of the highlights were the city's wage analysis showed the firefighters' pay was well below the market comparables. These gaps contributed to staff departures and difficulty in attracting new applicants. The existing three-step wage table moved employees from starting pay to top pay in just 3 years, and it's also created significant compression issues where supervisors were earning less than some of those they supervised. So after just 3 bargaining sessions, the tentative agreement was reached. We have now a new 5-step wage scale that extends the top pay from 3 years to 5 years. We adjusted the base scale for firefighter EMTs and then the other classifications off of that to create some separation. This is a 4-year contract term that moves wages closer to the market standards while maintaining some budget predictability. So now our wages are in the median with our comparables. We do have one side letter with one employee that clarifies a lateral transfer we have with them. And we have no changes in the management rights in the contract. The local did ratify this contract back on September 11th. And so staff recommends City Council approve the agreement between the City of Fort Atkinson and the Fort Atkinson Firefighters Local 580 for the term of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2029, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
There is a lot to like with this agreement, and I think we've talked in the past
Yep.
and said it's been good work and good faith negotiating between both parties, and it does not surprise me that it continues to, we have an agreement now where it truly does, it's beneficial to both sides.
Yes, it is.
There's things both sides probably wish we could have had, but that's the result of successful negotiations in my mind.
I think it speaks something to both the staff though and the firefighters we have that you could come to an agreement in just 3 meetings.
Yes.
You know, you hear of some of these negotiations that stretch on for months on end.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's the best part of having the staff that we have around here. So I appreciate you, the city manager, and our fire department staff for all the due diligence.
Thank you.
I move to approve the agreement between the City of Fort Atkinson and the Fort Atkinson Firefighters Local 580 for the term of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2029, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 11C, review and possible action relating to an agreement between the City of Fort Atkinson and the Fort Atkinson Professional Police Association for the years 2026 through 2028. Chief Bump.
Hello, everybody. Earlier this summer, we started planning for this contract. We knew it would expire at the end of the year. Did a decent amount of research with our comparables to make sure that we were set to have a positive negotiations. We met in September. Yeah. And actually only needed 1 meeting to negotiate the contract. However, some really good things came out in this contract. So, the wages are always kind of that thing you discuss, but I think where we came out allows our community to be right in the median of all of our comparables, where we want to be. We don't want to be at the bottom and we don't need to be at the top, but right in that median ground. So that's what we came up with the contract for wages, which you can see in the chart. The other good things that came about help with marketing our department for new hires, expanding our where the officers can live. We were at 25 miles and extending that to 30 gets us into a little bit bigger area where we can do a little more recruiting. Sometimes it's hard for people to up and move, but they're really ready to come and travel for a job just a little bit farther distance. So moving that to 30 miles is really good for our agency. Annual shift picks is another great area where it's a time saver, money saver, and allows us to be a little bit more organized and offers stability for the officers where they're not moving multiple times in one single year. And then longevity. We're able to eliminate longevity pay for the officers, and add that into what we could provide them as a wage adjustment in this new contract. I think that's a positive as well because there's a lot of administrative work on the back end here at City Hall that goes into making sure those payments go out. So everything kind of is a positive, getting us going in the right direction. And then field training incentive pay, also a positive thing that helps us make sure that we have the right people coaching, mentoring, and developing our newest officers when they come into the agency and compensating them for that hard work, which it is stressful hard work to take on that role as a mentor and an instructor to get them where they need to go. I'm happy with this contract. I think it really addressed some things that needed to be addressed and also gets the officers at a pay scale that's comparable. Is there any questions about my memo or anything in the contract?
I will just note that the memo says that the union ratified on August 29th, and it was September 29th. So I just want to note that.
Did I do that? I did do that.
September 29th, the union did sign. I have the signed contract for execution if the city council approves it tonight.
Thank you.
I will just echo the same thing I echoed to the fire chief, I'm really appreciative of the staff that went into this and to be able to get it done in one meeting.
I think everybody's on the same page. It is give and take. And we can't have everything we want, but there is a good compromise and a good center point, and we all came into the room ready to do that.
That's clear. It continues a long track record we've had of some really good faith negotiating by the city and by the police department's
Yeah, I agree.
bargaining team. I move to approve the agreement between the city of Fort Atkinson and the Fort Atkinson Professional Police Association for the years 2026 to 2028.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. 11D, review and possible action relating to the proposal from Quam Engineering for Banker Road Final Plat Services, Addendum Number 4. Director Navin.
Hello again. All right, as part of the ongoing redesign of the relocated Banker Road and the handover to Kale Engineering that we discussed at the last council meeting, Quam Engineering has submitted a proposal, which is Addendum 4, outlining the scope of services required to complete the final plat and associated iron placement for the Ridgeview Estates subdivision. So they've already completed phase 1. This is phase 2. As part of the change in engineering firms that was approved by council at the September 16th meeting, Kale Engineering requested that Quam Engineering complete the 2 pieces included in the attached addendum, final plat of phase 2 and the final plat iron placements. This request was made as Quam already has the majority of the information required and has already completed the final plat for phase 1 of the project. Kale Engineering taking on this part of the project would have just increased the city's costs. If addendum number 4 is approved as presented, the cost not to exceed $15,500 will be paid for out of TID 9. And staff recommends that the city council approve the proposal from Quam Engineering for addendum number 4 to complete the final plat for Banker Road, and which is also known as Ridgeview Estates, and place final irons as submitted to be paid for using TID number 9.
I move to approve the proposal from Quam Engineering for Banker Road Final Plat Services, Addendum Number 4.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Are there any other items we anticipate in the transition from Quam to Kale?
This should be the end of it.
Anything else from anyone? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to 11E, review and possible action relating to Milwaukee Avenue West Storm Sewer Emergency Repair Construction Award. Director Navin.
Didn't grab all my documents. All right, as proposed earlier, Staff recommended the city council approve a resolution providing the emergency repair of the storm sewer structure on Milwaukee Avenue West. Assuming the resolution was adopted, work with Rooker Milkie to design and solicit bids for the project. Staff contracted with Rooker Milkie to create the plans for the emergency repair of the existing storm sewer underground tunnel and solicit repair documents to contractors for pricing. The project was solicited to 8 contractors on September 23rd. The bid opening took place on October 3rd at 10 a.m. and attached to the results, including the 2 bids received. So that kind of talks about, hits on what Council President had acknowledged earlier, right? We still solicited as many bids as we could to try to get some good competitive pricing. We were just able to squeeze in some of those timelines to ensure we can get the work done before the cold months really set in. The city received 2 bids for the work from Forest Landscape and Construction and Wanasek Corporation. The bids varied widely, with Forest proposing $166,774 to complete the work, and Wanasek proposing $497,430. Forest is a known contractor and has done a lot of previous work in the city. The bid from Forest is also much closer to the engineer's estimate of $154,226.50. Repair will be paid for by the Stormwater Utility Fund in 2025. Staff does not anticipate this project will have a deleterious effect on the stormwater utility budget. 2025 projections include the proposed 2026 budget, which was published on the 3rd of October, provided a positive year-end fund balance for stormwater utility fund even with this project. Staff recommends City Council review the Milwaukee Ave stormwater sewer emergency repair project and award the contract to Forest Landscaping and Construction with a cost not to exceed $166,774 to be paid for using stormwater utility funds in 2025.
I'll just mention a couple things. The picture in the previous agenda item showed a large cavern. That is not a typical storm sewer structure that we have here in the city of Fort Atkinson. That obviously was quite old, and we did have information previously that it was something that needed to be addressed, but it became an emergency this year. So that is why we wanted to repair it this year. As you can see from that picture, which is in the packet, there's a lot of water that goes through that area. And so it really could create, if it's not addressed, it could create some sinkholes as well as other items falling into that large cavern if there's no top to it. So just wanted to add those items. When we did the bid opening last week, it was a little concerning because Wanasek was the first bid that was opened. I did have a little bit of a heart attack there, but we were happy to see that Forest, who is currently is mobilized in the city, preparing a much more reasonable bid to complete the work this year.
How big of an area would you say this is that needs to be repaired?
The entire section from the inlet down to the streets, probably 250 feet. I don't believe the whole piece has to be, so I'd say that 150 feet.
So not that whole area that was highlighted in red.
No, that just was like depicting all the water that collects that then falls into the river through that structure,
Okay.
right? So if that structure were to completely fail and back up water, that's the impacts that it would create throughout the city in that area, right?
Okay.
So all those areas would slowly back up and then create flooded roads and other potential, like Rebecca said, potholes or whatever you might find when water ends up where it doesn't belong.
Okay.
With
And
that,
as we always joke, and this is our Mechanic Street issue is a perfect example of water always wins.
Especially under pressure.
Yes, water under pressure always wins. Yes.
so is there something that Forest is missing with that giant?
No, the Wanasek just had some really inflated numbers in a few of their items.
Okay.
After, we kind of followed up with the city engineer to ask why such a big gap.
Mhm,
And especially this time of year when groups may or may not need the work,
mhm.
they may not spend as much time investigating the project, and they might just throw numbers at it. So Forest, I know that they were down at the site multiple times, called follow-up questions.
Okay.
And made sure that they were on it versus this other group who we had not heard from other than knowing that they were gonna submit a bid.
Okay. So it looks like a bid who somebody doesn't want the job.
Potentially.
They take a shot in the dark and then hope that they get it.
We
you
just
know,
say
either way,
yes, right?
And if they don't, no skin off their teeth, right?
True.
No one else bids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it does kind of beg the question of like, if the two bids had come in and they were both somewhat similar to that, which would have been like, way out of line with what the estimate was. I mean, what would you do in a case like that? Just rebid it again and continue to hope that you get a more favorable bid down the road?
Yeah, we probably would not accept the bids and we would regroup, even if it is reviewing them to see where we, maybe missed the mark in our estimates and then kind of regroup from there and see what we need to do. Hopefully we're not going to cross that bridge anytime soon.
Right. So it is an emergency repair, and do you, when do you anticipate that work would start?
They understood it through the contract or through the bidding process that it would go for approval tonight, so they can start in the next week or so.
Good.
I don't have a start date from them, but the completion date is the first week in December that they need to be completed by.
I would assume with Forest basically wrapping up our other spot, they would potentially be moving over there.
Yeah, they're
Right
still
after.
working out in Ridgeview, so they do have a little bit of work left out there. But yeah, like you say, since they're already in town, they will hopefully just move on over and knock that out for us.
I move to approve the Milwaukee Avenue West Storm Sewer Emergency Repair and award the contract to Forest Landscaping and Construction at a cost not to exceed $166,774.
Second.
Motion and the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 11F, review and possible action relating to an extraterritorial certified survey map for the property located at W 6184 Star School Road in the town of Koshkonong, CSM number 2025-06. Director Drager.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, as you stated, this is a potential 2 acre parcel, that they want to break off from the parent parcel. It is within that 3 mile extraterritorial, boundary, which requires city review, and also within the 1.5 mile radius, which requires, plan commission and city council approval, for that CSM. I do want to note that, there were a couple, adjustments that need to be made to the CSM. One of those that our ordinance calls for is the dedication of the road, which is not in this case. However, after speaking with the county and with the town of Koshkonong about their requirements for these situations, we recommended to the plan commission to forego that requirement for the CSM dedicating Star School Road in this situation. And Plan Commission did recommend City Council waive that requirement at their meeting. I'd welcome any questions with that, but just a little background. Our ordinance requires the dedication of road per CSM. County looks at it from a case-by-case situation, and the town does not require it unless there was some reason for it. So we had written communication with the county and the town that they were not going to be requiring that dedication, and therefore we recommended to waive that requirement. I welcome any questions.
I'll just comment that if this was much closer to the city and if this was a situation where we would anticipate growing into this area, we would have pushed back quite a bit more on the dedication of that right of way. Because location is Star School Road, it's outside of our urban growth boundaries. We didn't, push on that. But if there was a CSM proposed along Main Street, for example, we would push hard to require that dedication of the road right of way in front of the property.
Yes, thank you for that point. Yeah, and to avoid creating a precedent, these would all be looked at individually in each of these situations. So thank you for that.
I move to approve the extraterritorial certified survey map. Did I say certified survey map for the property located at W6184 Star School Road in the town of Koshkonong.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 11G, review and possible action relating to a contract to install concrete sidewalk and ramps on South Main Street at the intersections of Hilltop Trail and Telcott Avenue. Superintendent Williamson.
Yes, good evening. I know it's a mouthful sometimes. So the memo before you kind of summarizes what is happening with this project, but just in the background, the city engineer in '24, we applied for a grant through the DOT to construct a bike path or a multi-purpose path on the east side of South Main Street from Hackbarth all the way to Rockwell. And in the part of this process, we awarded MSA, the design engineering firm, to design to design the plans for this. When they met with the DOT, of course, the DOT put a few restrictions on them, and one of those restrictions was that the east side or the west side of the development area had to be improved to meet all the ADA requirements. And part of that is the addition of 2 extra crosswalks in that area. So there's not only improving the existing sidewalk, but improving and adding 2 additional crosswalk areas and ramps. So both of these areas are now, both areas are shown on the details there. I know my artwork is not fancy, but it shows the 2 general areas, the 2 intersections we're working in. This was, of course, not planned as a part of this qualifying grant project, but as it's required by the DOT, the city, and for the city to continue this project as planned for the 2026 construction. So Public Works Operations Division prepared the areas. Well, this was written in anticipation of having those areas done as of today, but they will be done as of Tuesday next week. Some things came up, but they will be prepared. We're going to take care of excavating, removing all the sidewalk areas that need to come out, all the concrete curb ramps that are there, and all the curbs, and prepare the soil for a contractor to come in and install the concrete. So we reached out to 2 local sidewalk contractors in the area that are well familiar with the ADA requirements and concrete finishing to meet very strict ADA requirements. Both firms responded with competitive proposals. Schultz Construction of Fort Atkinson submitted a proposal for $9,250 to complete this work, with the city supplying the detectable warning field plates and completing all the final terrace restorations. And then R.R. Walton of Whitewater also submitted a proposal for $15,757.10. And that included their providing the detectable warning fields, which are the bumpy plates at the bottom of the crosswalk ramp when you get there. Staff determined it was necessary to obtain assistance for from a concrete firm to complete this work prior to the winter, as the South Main Street construction project will be moving forward right away in the spring of '26. So we looked over I looked over the budgeted funds. We did have $14,000 for sidewalk concrete repairs in the '25 general fund budget under our sidewalk supplies account. This account has funds available remaining to award the low bidder, J.W. Schultz Construction, to complete the additional added project in '25 and in anticipation of the '26 South Main Street project. So staff recommends the council approve and award the South Main Street concrete sidewalk ADA ramp installation contract to J.W. Schultz Construction for the amount of $9,250 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
I move to award the contract to install concrete sidewalk and ramps on South Main Street at the intersections of Hilltop Trail and Telcott Avenue to J.W. Schultz Construction at an amount not to exceed $9,250 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
While it may not have been planned, it is a good time to find out this requirement now.
It is. It is. It's not great timing, but it works out perfect for us at this point in time to get it done. So
This isn't something that would be disturbed with the project next spring.
it will not be. And it was specifically requested that we perform and get that job done outside of the contract with the DOT. So we'll take care of that. Yep.
Anything else from you? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 12, miscellaneous, none. Item 13, public comment for matters not on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following for items for the record when called upon: name, address, and subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on any of these public comments. Note for those on hybrid and on Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand through Zoom as the chat box is not monitored, and those on the call must be muted unless recognized. Tonight we have Joan Fitzgerald signed up to speak first.
Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm Joan Fitzgerald. I live at 545 Stratford Court here in Fort Atkinson, but I'm here tonight as Representative Joan Fitzgerald of the 46th Assembly District. I've been trying to go around, talk to different city, town, village boards, give a little update on what's been going on at the Capitol, a little update on the budget. So that's what the handout is. I tried to summarize just some of the highlights of the budget, some of the things that you might be interested in, or perhaps your constituents are asking you about. So just some of the highlights up at the top there. There was a lot of interest when I go around talking to people about roads and funding for roads. So there is 150 million in ARIP, 100 million in LRIP being able to be awarded. Those grant programs are starting up now. If there's any interest in either of those, you can contact my office and we can certainly talk about how to apply for those. Probably not, well, I don't know, maybe we have some agricultural roads in the city of Fort Atkinson that might apply. I don't think so, but the LRIP perhaps. But the local projects program, the 50 million there, that grant program has also just been opened up, and I have contacted both BASE and the Rock River Free Clinic, which are both going to be applying for that grant. So hopefully we'll get some of that grant money into our community. We're working with them pretty closely. I think they're a good match for what that is. That's a grant program where you have to already have some funds raised for your project, and both of those do certainly have some funds available. So hopefully we can move those projects along from the state level as well. The next level there is just some of the big picture items that might affect things in Wisconsin. K-12 schools. I know that does not directly impact, but I know you guys deal a lot when people get their property tax bills. So we can certainly talk about school funding again if you have more interest in there. But a lot of investment in UW, the child care industry. There is a good tax relief part of the bill coming individually to taxpayers individually, and for some retirement income that will not be taxed as well. Next steps moving forward. In the assembly, we did all that budget work back in June. Right at the beginning of July, we finalized the state budget. So we just got back into session today. Actually, I was at the Capitol. And so all these next steps are things we're working on now. I know Knowles Nelson program is incredibly important to a lot of people in this area. We're trying to make some progress on that. There are lots of talks behind the scenes, hoping to come to some agreement on how that program will move forward. There's a lot of bipartisan support for it. It's just a matter of how do we do that? How much money? What restrictions do we put? So we're all hoping we can come to some compromise on that. There's some labor bills we've introduced, some education bills. Do I
Finish out
need to
the
stop? I will go really quick. I know, I'm sorry. There's also the teacher in me. I could, Today we did a bunch of housing bills. There's a lot of really, really great stuff coming up. So if anyone has questions about a specific, interest area, I think you all know how to contact me. I attached some contact information for me. If you don't know my email and phone number and all of that, feel free to contact me whenever I can be of help, or if you have any questions on anything. So thank you, and thank you for letting me go over time.
Not a problem. Thank you. All right, be a first call for anyone on Zoom wishing. Second call for anyone on Zoom. Close out public comment then. On item 14, claims, appropriations, and contract payments. 14A is review and possible action relating to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorized payment. Won't everybody fight about it?
I move to approve the verified claims as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
Nervous. Councilman Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilman Escobar,
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Jekyll.
Aye. All right, bills are paid. Last thing to do is adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.